My niece sent a birthday Wishlist designer handbag, $5,000 cash gift, and first-class tickets for a girls' trip. I replied, "That's not happening." She shot back, "Then don't bother coming." So I didn't just like the rent payment. A week later, when the landlord called her and asked, she turned pale. And then my niece Madison sent me a text 3 weeks before her 24th birthday. When I opened it, I actually laughed out loud. Not a polite chuckle, a full disbelieving laugh that made my coworker ask if I was okay. The message read, "Birthday wish list for Aunt Sally," followed by bullet points that included a Chanel handbag, $5,000 cash, as a birthday gift, and first-class tickets to Miami for her and 3 friends. Oh, and she specified the handbag color, beige, in case you're wondering. I stared at my phone, waiting for the just kidding follow-up. It never came. Instead, another text arrived. "Let me know which one you're doing so I can plan accordingly. Love you." Here's the thing. Madison wasn't always like this. When she was little, she was sweet, curious, always drawing me pictures of flowers and cats. But somewhere between her 16th birthday and now she transformed into someone I barely recognized. And my sister Carolyn, she fed into it every single time. Do you think a 24-year-old should be sending wish lists like that to her aunt? Because I'm genuinely asking. I texted back, "That's not happening." 3 dots appeared immediately. "Then don't bother coming to my party." I replied with a thumbs up emoji and set my phone down. Carolyn called within minutes, her voice already sharp with accusation. "Sally, what did you say to Madison?" "She's crying." "I told her I'm not buying her a $5,000 birthday present," I said, calmly stirring my coffee. "She specifically asked for your help with this. She's been planning this trip for months, and you know she's been struggling financially." "Struggling," I interrupted. "Carolyn, she doesn't have a job. She's not struggling. She's just not working. She's looking. The job market is terrible right now. You don't understand how hard it is for her generation." I'd heard this speech before many times. Madison had been looking for work for 2 years. Ever since she graduated college with a communications degree, she'd barely scraped through. Meanwhile, Carolyn paid her rent, bought her groceries, handed over her credit card for Madison's essential shopping trips. Me, I've been helping too more than I should have. "I understand plenty," I said. "What I don't understand is why you think I should fund her lifestyle." Carolyn's voice went cold. "If you're not going to support your niece during a difficult time, then maybe you should reconsider what family means to you." She hung up. I sat there, phone in hand, wondering if I was the crazy one. Was I being unreasonable? My mom, God rest her soul, would have told Madison to get a grip and find a job. But my mom wasn't here anymore. And somehow in her absence, Carolyn had decided that Madison's happiness was the entire family's responsibility. What you don't know yet is that I wasn't just Madison's aunt. I was also her landlord. 6 months earlier, Carolyn had begged me to rent Madison my spare condo downtown. "Just until she gets on her feet," she promised. "It'll be temporary." The rent was $1,500 a month, well below market rate. I'd agreed because despite everything I loved my niece, I wanted to help. But here's the kicker. Carolyn had been paying Madison's rent. Every month, like clockwork, the money came from Carolyn's account, not Madison's. Madison didn't even pretend to contribute. After that phone call, I made a decision. Actually, I made several decisions, but I'll get to those. First, I texted Madison back. "Hope you have a wonderful birthday. I won't be attending." Then I texted Carolyn. "Effective immediately. I'm no longer accepting rent payments from you for Madison's apartment. Madison is an adult. If she wants to live there, she can pay her own rent. It's due on the 1st, as always." I didn't wait for a response. I turned off my phone and went to visit my Aunt Diane. Aunt Diane was my mom's younger sister, 72 years old and sharp as a tack. She lived in a cozy house in the suburbs with her 3 cats and an impressive collection of mystery novels. When I showed up at her door that evening, she took one look at my face and said, "Carolyn again." "Carolyn and Madison," I corrected, following her into the kitchen. She poured us both wine without asking. "Tell me everything." I did. I showed her the text messages, explained the rent situation, described years of watching Carolyn enable Madison's entitled behavior. Diane listened, nodding occasionally, her expression growing more severe. When I finished, she said, "Your mother saw this coming." "Saw what coming?" "Carolyn turning that girl into a spoiled brat. Your mom tried to talk to her about it years ago, but Carolyn wouldn't hear it. Said your mom was being too harsh, that Madison deserved to enjoy her childhood." Diane took a sip of wine. "Well, childhood's over, has been for a while, and now you've got a 24-year-old who thinks designer handbags grow on trees. Did I do the right thing?" I asked. "Cutting off the rent payments?" Diane smiled. "Honey, you should have done it months ago, but better late than never." She raised her glass. "Here's to teaching grown women that actions have consequences." We clinked glasses, and for the first time in weeks, I felt like maybe I wasn't losing my mind. Madison's birthday came and went. I didn't go to the party, obviously. I didn't send a gift either, unless you count the invoice I mailed, reminding her that rent was due in 5 days. Carolyn left me several increasingly angry voicemails that I didn't return. And then exactly 1 week after Madison's birthday, my phone rang. It was Madison. Her voice was shaking. Aunt Sally, the landlord, just called me. He said my rent is overdue, and if I don't pay by tomorrow, he's starting eviction proceedings. But I don't understand. Mom always... She stopped. Did you tell Mom to stop paying? I could hear the panic, the confusion, the dawning realization that her free ride was over. Madison, I said calmly, I told your mother that you're an adult and should pay your own rent. The apartment is in your name. The lease is your responsibility. But I don't have $1,500. I don't have any money. What am I supposed to do? Imagine what you think I said next. Go ahead, picture it. Because what happened in that moment changed everything. Get a job, I said simply like everyone else. The line went silent for so long I thought she'd hung up. Then I heard it, a sound I hadn't heard from Madison in years. She was actually crying. Not the dramatic attention-seeking crying she did when Carolyn refused to upgrade her phone. Real scared crying. Aunt Sally, please. I'm sorry about the wish list, okay? I was being stupid, but I can't get evicted. Where would I go? Please just give me more time. Time for what? Madison, you've had 2 years. What exactly have you been doing with all that time? I've been applying, but nobody calls back. And the jobs that do respond want me to start at like minimum wage doing grunt work. So do the grunt work. I have a degree. Then use it, I said, my patience thinning. But use it while paying your own bills. You have until tomorrow to figure it out. I suggest you start making calls. I hung up before she could argue further. 2 hours later, Carolyn showed up at my house. Didn't call first, didn't knock. Just used the key I'd given her for emergencies and barged into my living room where I was watching a documentary about ocean life. How could you do this to her? Carolyn's face was flushed, her eyes wild. She's terrified, Sally. Actually terrified. Do you have any idea what you've done? I paused my show. I stopped enabling her. Same thing you should have done years ago. She's going to be homeless. Your niece, my daughter, is going to be out on the street because you decided to play tough love. She's not going to be homeless, I said calmly. You'll pay her rent. You always do. That's why she called you crying after she called me, isn't it? Carolyn's face shifted just slightly. But I caught it. Guilt. You didn't pay it, I said slowly, realization dawning. You actually didn't pay it this time. Why? My sister collapsed onto my couch, suddenly looking 10 years older. Because I can't afford it anymore. Wait, what? What do you mean you can't afford it? I leaned forward. You make good money. You've always... I'm drowning, Sally. Carolyn's voice cracked. I've been drowning for months. Madison's rent, her car, payment, her insurance, her credit cards, yes, plural, her shopping, her trips, her life. Do you know how much I've spent on her in the past 2 years? Over $80,000. I felt my jaw actually drop. $80,000, Carolyn, that's almost your entire salary. I took out a loan against my 401k. Then another one. I maxed out 2 credit cards. She put her head in her hands. I'm being audited by the IRS because I claimed her as a dependent, but she made income from that influencer thing she tried last year and didn't report it. My financial advisor told me last week that if I don't stop, I'll have to declare bankruptcy by next year. Do you see what I mean about unexpected? I thought Carolyn was just being an overindulgent mother. I had no idea she was financially ruining herself. Why didn't you tell me? I asked quietly. Because you would have said, I told you so. Because I was ashamed. Because I kept thinking if I just helped her a little bit longer, she'd find her footing. Carolyn looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes. I created this monster, didn't I? Before I could answer, both our phones buzzed simultaneously. It was a text from Madison to both of us in a group chat. I got a job. Start Monday. It's at Nordstrom Sales, $16 per hour plus commission. I can pay half the rent this month if you give me 2 weeks. I'll figure out the rest. I'm sorry I've been such a brat. Mom is right. I need to grow up. Carolyn and I stared at each other in shock. She's serious, Carolyn whispered. My phone rang. It was Aunt Diane. Did Madison just call you? She asked when I answered. And no, she texted. Wait, did she call you? About an hour ago. Asked if I knew anyone hiring. I told her about the Nordstrom job. My neighbor's daughter is a manager there. Madison actually sounded humble. Asked if I could put in a good word. Said she'd take anything. Diane paused. What happened? I thought she'd fight you tooth and nail. So did I admitted, looking at Carolyn, who was now crying silently on my couch. But here's the thing. I didn't quite believe it yet. Madison had made promises before. Empty ones. I'll believe it when I see a paycheck, I told Diane. Smart woman. Sally, you might want to check Madison's Instagram. I pulled up Instagram while still on the phone. Madison's latest post from 20 minutes ago showed a screenshot of a job offer email with the caption, "New chapter. Time to be an actual adult. Thanks to everyone who supported me, and sorry to those I took advantage of. Doing better starting now." The comments were already rolling in. Her friends seemed shocked, some supportive, some skeptical. One comment caught my eye. It was from someone named Tyler. "About damn time, proud of you." "Who's Tyler?" I asked Carolyn, showing her the phone. She looked and her expression turned bitter. "Her ex-boyfriend from college. You broke up with her last year because she kept asking him to pay for things. He told her she needed to get her priorities straight. She's still in touch with him, apparently." The next morning I drove to the condo. I still had keys as the landlord. I needed to see for myself what was happening. When I let myself in, after knocking and announcing myself, I found Madison sitting at the kitchen table surrounded by papers. Her laptop was open to Indeed.com. A notebook listed jobs she'd applied to with columns for date position and follow-up status. She looked up when I entered. For the first time in years, I saw my actual niece, not the entitled princess. The real Madison. "I'm applying to second jobs too," she said quietly. "Nordstrom is part-time to start. I need full-time hours to make rent plus utilities and food. I found a waitressing position that does nights and weekends. Interviews Thursday." I sat down across from her. "Madison, what changed? And don't say it was just the eviction notice." Something else happened. She was quiet for a long moment. Then she reached for her phone and pulled up a text conversation with Tyler. "I called him last night after I applied to Nordstrom. I was panicking about the rent and I thought maybe he'd, I don't know, help me, loan me money." She scrolled to his response. "This is what he said." I read it. "Madison, I care about you, but I'm not giving you money. Nobody should. You're smart and capable, and you've been wasting both for years. If you're really scared about losing your apartment, then you know what you need to do. Stop asking other people to save you and save yourself. You can do this, but you have to actually do it." Her eyes were watering. He was the only person who ever told me no and meant it, and I hated him for it. "Broke up with him because I thought he was being cheap and controlling," she said quietly. She wiped her eyes. "But he was right. Everyone's been right. I've been a complete nightmare." What do you think I did next? Hugged her. Told her I forgive her. I didn't. Not yet. Instead, I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. "Here's what's going to happen," I said. "I'm going to loan you $750, half of this month's rent. You're going to pay the other half from your Nordstrom paycheck. Yes, they'll pay you for training. You're going to sign a promissory note saying you'll pay me back $50 a month until it's cleared." "Okay," she said immediately. "I'm not done. You're also going to create a budget. A real one, every dollar accounted for. You're going to show it to me weekly until you're stable. You're going to attend the financial literacy class at the community center. Aunt Diane teaches it, and yes, she knows you're coming." Madison nodded, writing it all down. "And one more thing." I looked her directly in the eyes. "You're going to apologize to your mother. A real apology for what you've put her through financially and emotionally. And then you're going to prove you mean it by never asking her for money again." "I will," she said. "I promise." "We'll see," I replied. But here's what I didn't expect. What nobody expected. 3 days later, Carolyn called me completely frantic. "Madison's gone," she said. "She's not answering her phone. She's not at the apartment. Her car's gone. Sally, I think something's happened." I felt my heart drop. Had I pushed too hard? Had Madison done something desperate? Then my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. What I read made my blood run cold. The text read, "This is Tyler. Madison's with me. She's safe. She asked me to tell you because her phone died. She's at my parents' house in Portland. She'll call tonight." Portland. That was 8 hours away. I called the number immediately. Tyler answered on the first ring. "Where is she? What's going on?" I demanded. "She's outside talking to my mom. Look, I know this seems weird, but Madison called me yesterday. She was having a breakdown about money and her job and everything. She asked if my dad's company was hiring." He paused. "It is. They need an office coordinator. Better pay than Nordstrom. Full benefits. But she had to interview today. So she drove up last night." I felt the panic drain away, replaced by cautious surprise. "She drove 8 hours for a job interview. She's trying Miss Sally. Really trying. My mom's helping her practice interview questions right now." When Madison finally called that evening, she sounded exhausted. But different. Determined. "I got it," she said. "The job. $42,000 a year starting next week. I'm moving to Portland. Carolyn, who I'd conferenced in, made a small sound. I know it's far, Mom, Madison continued quickly, but I can afford a studio here. Tyler's helping me find places. And Aunt Sally, I can pay you back faster now. Real payments, not just $50. What about Nordstrom? I asked. I called them and explained the situation. They understood. She took a breath. I'm sorry I scared you both, but I needed to do this. Actually do something for myself instead of just talking about it. Over the next month, Madison moved to Portland. She got her studio apartment. She started her job. She sent me a payment of $200 on her first payday with a note. First of many. She video called Carolyn twice a week, showing her budgets and asking advice instead of money. And Carolyn, she started going to therapy, started setting boundaries, started rebuilding her savings. The real surprise came 3 months later. Madison showed up for Thanksgiving. But she didn't come alone. She brought Tyler and a homemade pie and a check for $1.500. What's this? I asked, looking at the check. My rent. I want to keep the condo. Tyler's getting transferred to a position near you in January. We're moving back. She glanced at him nervously. Together. But I'm paying my own rent this time. He's paying his half of utilities. We have a lease agreement and everything. Carolyn started crying. Happy tears. And Mom, Madison said, turning to her, I want to pay you back. And not all at once, but I made a plan with a financial counselor. $50 a month until I've covered at least some of what you spent on me. You don't have to, Carolyn began. I do, Madison interrupted firmly. You almost lost everything because of me. I'm making this right. At dinner, Madison asked me quietly, do you think I'm really changing? Or am I just good at performing right now? I looked at my niece, the one who had sent that ridiculous wish list, the one who'd lived off everyone else for years, the one who had finally decided to grow up. I think you're figuring it out, I said honestly. Keep doing the work. That's all any of us can do. She nodded and squeezed my hand. 6 months after that birthday wish list, Madison was living independently, paying her bills, maintaining her relationship with both me and Carolyn, but on equal footing now, as family. Not as an ATM and her enabler. Carolyn and I grew closer too. She admitted she'd been trying to fill the hole Mom left by making Madison happy at any cost. We both started honoring Mom's memory differently, by being honest with each other. Sometimes the best gift you can give someone is refusing to save them, making them save themselves. So that's my story. My niece sent me a birthday wish list that cost thousands, and I said no. It almost broke our family. Instead, it fixed us. Did I handle everything perfectly? Probably not. But I'm curious what you think. Did I do the right thing? Would you have done the same? Or would you have approached it differently? If this story resonated with you, I'd really appreciate a like. And if you've been through something similar with your own family, or if you disagreed with how I handled things, please share your thoughts in the comments below. I read them all, and honestly, your perspectives mean a lot. Thanks so much for listening to my story. Take care.